Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Monday, April 25th, 2022, and the topic for the day is called Home, Sky, Star. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening April 9th through the 23rd, 2022, and this is show number 150. Now I am recording outside today, so even though it brings some gorgeous, glorious fresh air to breathe in, and I love it, it also brings a lot of kind of extraneous noises that might be happening around me. So things like planes, helicopters, loud people screaming, dogs barking, you name it. Hopefully they're at least entertaining if we hear some of those floating around in the background, and hopefully even more so we don't have any of those. So let's see what happens. Anyway, this is yet again an atypical show for me because normally I like to diligently really capture daily some very interesting oddities and strange things happening in the skies, some anomalies, things that can't quite be explained, and other ones that can. And so in this show, because of what's been going on in the last couple of months, and I do mention it in a previous show, there have been a lot of bigger energies shifting on this planet. That means that some people who I know and love have chosen to exit the planet for various reasons, various kind of soul mission reasons, and that has affected my schedule for at least the last couple of months. So anyway, that's just all to say. Perhaps some of you are experiencing that too. Some that have moved on definitely, absolutely were affected and impacted negatively or adversely by the quote-unquote injections, and I'm just going to leave it right there. But on the other hand, I do believe we do all come in with a soul plan. We do have free will, even if we have been deceived and that there's been a great deception playing the people. I do believe at a certain level, there is still some kind of plan in place, and even with that free will counts. But anyway, that'll be another topic maybe for another show. In the meantime, all that to say, I didn't get the body of work I normally would have whenever I do a show. I have a ton of photos of the skies, like all different times of day and night. But this time around, it's going to be a very select assortment of them, and that doesn't mean they're any less than. I went around the town. These are all going to be in Miami, Florida, the skies of Miami, Florida. And I did actually even get to go up several stories up into some buildings around, so maybe I'll have some different vantage points in this go around on this show. Anyway, let's get into it and see what we've got. So I'd like to open with some Words, Wisdom, and Spirit of the Day pages 1 through 3, but I'll make them brief. I will say that I was absolutely captivated by this inchworm. I'm calling this Inchworm Wisdom. This little thing wasn't any bigger than maybe the thumbnail, actual nail on the hand, and really tiny, but so powerful, so graceful, so majestic, such inner strength and assuredness. And I love this thing. I'm going to play a couple of videos this time. They're really short. I'm going to replay them a couple of times. What I love about this inchworm is that you'll see it when I play the video. It scouts around its whole area first before it makes a move, and it anchors its back feet, and then it lifts its whole body and inches along and then touches ground again. So this back end is really powerful. So is this whole thing. So it really is a great reminder of inner strength and wisdom to kind of look before you leap and, sense things out before you rush ahead into anything. Now, it doesn't mean that an inchworm just moves slowly inch by inch. This thing was absolutely booking it, and I don't like to swear so much. It's not really a swear word, but this thing was hauling ass in some of the videos that I have. They didn't save, so I'm only going to show a couple of real short clips in this slide and the next one. But boy, I have so much admiration for this guy, girl, it, whatever you want to call it. Beautiful, beautiful little being. And so anyway, I invite you to look up other wisdoms and symbolisms, spiritual meanings behind the inchworm, or just intuitively go by what this evokes in you when you see the video footage played. Now, the word inch itself, the etymology is Old English. It's spelled Y-N-C-E. I'm guessing it's ince, which also comes from a Latin derived further from supposedly Latin for unus, for one, or uncia, or uncia, for meaning the 12th part. The breakdown on the etymology for worm wasn't so interesting, so I'm not going to cover that now. But a little loose tie-in to this inch worm is toward the end of the slides. I will be showing, hold on one second, give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. I will be showing an image of something that very well could be what is called Wormwood Star. So that's a loose connection there. Anyway, let's see how this inchworm moves. So here we go. It's really searching around first, and then it takes off. We're going to look at it one more time. Yes, so again, I really appreciate how it really kind of scouts around before it makes a move. Now here's another view of what's going on. That's a shorter clip. So in this case, you can see clearly how it anchors. It's squarely planted, always planted firmly onto a surface so that it then can propel itself forward. And look at it, it's just rising right up. Pretty darn amazing. So we can learn a lot from these inchworms and studying nature in general. I'm going to play it one more time. Whoops, sorry about that. Don't know why it wouldn't work. Let me try it again. Now we'll do it. There we go. I just find them fascinating. I don't see them often, and I'm so glad this one literally crossed my path this time around. All right, now this is just the third Words Within the Spirit of the Day page. It's just doing a little check out these channels and specific shows mention because they're just whatever crosses my radar, so to speak, in a given time frame that I find helpful and useful for a variety of reasons. In this case, it is Lorie Ladd's YouTube channel, so that's Lorie. That's the first name, Ladd, Ladd, last name. Now, these specific shows I found extremely helpful, and of course, it's just if it's resonating with you, it'll make sense. You may come into one of these, and it's just kind of like the timing is off, and it doesn't really make sense to you, or doesn't really click. So it's going to click with you, or it won't. But I have actually watched her channel, been observing it for a couple of years, and in the first year or so, it just didn't really click with me. I wasn't just at the an aligned frequency with what she was saying, and now I am. So I just recommend it if it works for you. There are 3 shows. One called Powerful Reminder of What We Are Going Through. The other one is What Are We Going Through? And then the latest one is Triggers Are Upgrading You. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, I hope they recorded on this one, we're going through so many shifting energies on this planet. And for example, last week I felt intense energies of just like dark energies even kind of circulating all over the place. When I went outside, I could feel them, and just kind of like a heavier energy. And then I also had some outbursts. I was easily triggered, and I normally never am, by certain people, and discussions got a little heated, and that never happens either. And that's all part of just kind of a release of a lot of emotions that we probably haven't been doing. And there's a lot of shifts, energetic shifts in the planet, that are bringing these to the fore because they need to be purged and cleaned and felt first and then released. And that might be happening. So if you notice you're a little on edge more so than usual, you're not alone. There is something to it, and something on a more massive galactic scale is going on. So I just like tuning into Lorie Ladd's channel here and there, because a lot of times it hits the nail on the head of exactly what I'm going through that day, and it's just nice to know there are others out there. Just a nice little support group if you read the comment section. Anyway, let's get into the sky observations. So this is looking east over Miami, and this one, there's nothing too extraordinary about this one. You know, some of my images are going to be more of a smoking gun, ooh, look at parts and pieces on this craft, and others are just going to be more like, you know, I just intuitively sensed something was just off in the scene, or there was some quality to what was going on that I thought was worthwhile to take a picture. Now, I forgot to mention, whether you're new or returning to this channel, thank you so much for being here. Heartfelt thanks to you, and welcome. And I invite you, if you are new, to look at previous shows of mine, maybe going back 2 or 3 shows to get a sense of what I normally do. I just document things going on in the skies that seem, you know, a little off. I just use an Android camera phone, and I take the original and then I enhance it, which means I simply not alter, but I edit the attributes of the photo itself. So just I up or lower the levels a little bit on the brightness, the contrast, or the color saturation, maybe the color temperature, and that's about it. And just to kind of pull forth some interesting things that I either directly see with the naked eye or sense is happening in any of these like cloud arrangements. And you'll see what I mean as I get further into the show. All right, so let's just get into it. This one was just a very low formation of cloud. I say cloud in quotes because it seemed like a very artificial cloud assembly This is over the skies of South Florida, which has subtropical to tropical climate. And never in decades past of my being familiar with this area would you have something, one, form so low, and two, have like a conical, downward turned conical shape, obviously not a tornado, and then have this kind of shape above it. So these don't look like any cumulus clouds of decades past. And they're also, whenever you have something moving vertical and then horizontal, that's just also kind of a telltale sign it's not really a natural system. We have other darker bodies looming in here. So this takes on a triangular shape on what do I want to say, on an angle, so if that's the three sides, and then this one echoes it up here. So there seems to be a little too much, and maybe one back here, that has like an intelligent design and repeating pattern to it, to just be a haphazard, natural cloud moving along. Also, there's some darker shape kind of emerging or being cloaked back in here. Now, when I say cloud activity in quotes, I'm referring to that I suspect a lot of cloaking craft happening in some of these systems. And the cloaking material I'm referring to would just be plasma. That's my go-to word for it, simply meaning something heavier than water vapor, that's denser, that can hang around in the sky much longer and do a great job at cloaking things. Anyway, let's move along. So now this is looking east in the afternoon. The left-hand side is the original, the right-hand side is the enhanced version. So I was at a stoplight in the car, and so I just took a picture. What I noticed, all of these repeating lines, and look, they just stop right there. It seems very local. And then also very local is this disturbance in the atmosphere. And so we look at it in the enhanced version over here, and it just seems like this is, again, this is too precise, too mathematical, too calculated, with these repeating parallel lines to each other, to be just cloud activity. And it's so specific in this little, range of things happening. And then look at the strange striations happening all in here in this disturbance. Doesn't look like anything natural. So I gotta say, this is some type of energetics happening in here, or cloaking craft. And we're going to take a closer look down here at B.1, because this starts to get very interesting. We'll start to see that it's not just poof, like little cloud or plasma. We got some hard structure in here, because we've got over here at B.2, we have hard edge and shadow. So we look to the right at the enhanced version. I really kind of extreme enhanced it to really exaggerate what's going on. Look at this at B.3. That is a heavy shadow under something. Look at that. So this is absolutely here too. We got plasma kind of wafting over. Some people say wafting. I gotta say wafting. That's just in my programming. I just have to say it that way. But we've got, a hard edge. We've got reflected surface, and that's clearly objects. So what are they exactly? Are they cloaking craft? Are they some kind of sensor equipment? Or are they something else beyond our comprehension? I say it could be all of the above. So let's keep going. All right, now this is looking west. Now this one, I was up on a fifth floor or higher in a building, and I was looking out toward the west. So I know what I saw clearly with the eye, and I know what reflections and little droplets or things that were on the glass. I paid close attention to make sure I'm not showing you like this and that was dirt. No, that was like an artificial cloud doing something strange, because once again, we don't have a natural cloud moving across even like this. That's no natural cloud I know of. And then something kind of hooking around or going straight up vertical while other stuff is coming across horizontal. Natural clouds of yore, I'll just say, have several decades of being on this, many decades of being on this planet. And things that I always observed as a kid growing up, living outdoors basically for 10 hours a day. I never saw weird little things like this in different movements like that. So anyway, what starts to get interesting here is we seem to have a luminary, like some kind of body, with self-illuminating here, which we would call the sun normally. And then we have another one down here that's absolutely two distinct parts. Now, some could argue, no, that's just one big sun, and we're catching the bottom, and there's something cutting across, and then this. I'm going to say no, this is two different things, just because of how much I have been paying attention to the skies over the last several years, and for some other reasons, which we're going to see when we get to the next two enhanced frames. So right now, right off the bat at A, I see a hard corner up here, like the top of a triangle. And then I see the bottom here looks rigid, like some type of technical element, like a pipe, and also down here. And then this, we start to see a weird texture forming, which has right angles to it. It's splayed a bit like an axonometric drawing, but you can see there's something here that has right angles, that's flat, like the deck of a top of a ship or something. And I'll show you what I mean coming up. So here I'm just getting a different color scale. not color scale, color wave or range, just to look at the overall scene differently. So we start to see different elements pop out that, our eye is trained to see a sunset in the golden hues. I'm just making it blue to kind of reprogram, remap like our eye to brain connection and see if we see anything else interesting pop out. So to me, at 8.1 in this cooler range of color, we've still got that sharp angle up here, and this looks like the end of a pipe now, and that does too. And then here, this also looks like the end of a pipe. And then look at this. This looks like terraced steps. Again, we've got parallel lines moving in this right angle. So we're going to zoom in on each of these things in a second with other types of contrast. So here I took all color out. We're zooming in on that triangular piece. So again, I see the end of a pipe. It definitely looks like the top of a triangle, and another pipe piece here. And in fact, look at this. This looks like a down-turned wedge, a faceted type triangle piece. And that's like a whole, I definitely see some technical parts that definitely could be parts of craft. And maybe this overall thing is one huge craft with different cloaking elements, like partially cloaked popping out. Or that's an element, this downturn thing is independent, and so is whatever's happening down here. So I'm going to say that this looks like we're looking at the top of a deck of something, which is engineered pieces. And then these look like the ends of pipes to me if you follow my cursor. So I'm going to say that there's absolutely designed kind of craft or something going on up in that sky. See what you think. Here is some lines. Here I'm going to toggle back and forth. No lines on A2, lines on A2, just to help you see what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some type of triangular shape here with this thing cutting across to kind of mask it. And I should have drawn a line here too, but we definitely have like some downturned diamond or ice cream cone shape happening on there. And then once again, taking all color out of this, we can see this right angle. We see these hard lines. Those hard lines do not occur in natural clouds. And these are the ends of pipes as if they're facing us. So see what you think. I don't know, that could even be like a gunner mounted below some type of deck of some craft, because it almost looks like a cannon-like gun, down here. See what you think. Here we're going to look one more time just at this lower part with the question marks. Again, we definitely have a hard object creating shadow in a right angle. And again, the parallel lines and little bits of different color temperatures on this thing, tell me that there's got to be metallic, something metallic at play. But see what you see in these images. All right, now this one we're looking east. And I just noticed a whole mess. I'll just call it a whole mess of mismatched cloud activity, cloud in quotes once again, because all of this is looking artificial. We've got something going off down that way, something going more vertical. We've got a sky imprint that looks like an overall maybe triangular shape with something like a truncated trapezoid or triangle sitting in front of it. Then we go down to this mist-like stuff, which looks kind of like a swoosh and a hole, like something trying to form a whirlpool in the sky, some type of vortex, with weird feathery type of disintegrating cloud. And then, just look at it. We can look to the right, you can see it even better. These are just all completely different types of clouds, in quotes, happening all in the same vicinity. And so what the heck? That does not occur in nature. And even here we can see we get a brighter cyan pop of color. So we see that there's energetics employed here, some kind of movement and activities happening in here. We even have a triangular cutout over here. And again, this is too rigid, these kind of tracks or this overall bigger imprint, just to be haphazard, normal little clouds doing their thing moving across the sky. I'm not buying it. There's a lot of interesting and unexplained activity happening in that scene. I'm zooming in a little bit more on that swoosh element where that hole was forming. It got a little too bitmappy, but clearly you can see, something is curved in here to perfection while everything else is kind of rough and disintegrated. Here's that triangular form down here. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I do know intuitively something is going on. See what you think. All right, now this gets very interesting. So now something told me I was in a parking lot at a big building. Something said just look up and take a picture. Now it was so bright to the human eye here on the left, I could not see past this bright white glaring ball, which I am going to call solar simulator or artificial sun or effects of it. And do have a look at some of my previous shows if you're not familiar with that concept. And or look at also the shows of other people on YouTube doing sky and earth observations. Please have a look around at everybody and form your own opinion on these things and start to really look for yourself in the skies above. Anyhow, something said take a picture. Even though I couldn't see a darn thing other than this glaring white ball, which seemed huge, I took the picture. And now I know why something told me to do that, because when I brought it into the indoors and started doing what I do here, I started to see this red object. Now that is not a lens flare. for many reasons, and I'm going to cover it toward the end of the show. But we look to the right. I mean, this little dot is a lens flare or effects of some type of light dynamics or projection, but the red part is not. So when we look to the enhanced version, you can see we've got like crater-like things and shadows appearing on the surface and like a crater divot on this thing beyond. And it's also part in shadow, and there's like something else emerging behind it too. So it is some type of object or a projection of one. We'll take a closer look at that in a minute. But also what's interesting here is we have like clear triangular imprints and other lines that are concentric circles coming out of here that aren't part of any glare. You know, those are like tracings of cloud. So we got a lot of strange activity happening in here. I invite you on your own time to really look around in these pictures, see if you see anything different. Now, one more side note. When I narrate these shows, I am going over this as I view it on a bigger screen on a laptop. If I were to narrate this whole show on a little handheld device and look at it more in thumbnail size scalar size, I would see a lot of different things probably jump out at me and narrate the show a little bit differently. So I invite you, if you are fortunate enough to have a bigger screen format and a smaller one at the same time in front of you, have them both on as you play the show, and just toggle your view up and down between the two as it runs. I invite you, even if you want to mute me and turn off the sound to really focus on the images, that might help too, and see what you think is going on. All right, let's keep going. Now we're zooming in on this red object. I'll just call it. There's depth and dimension here, so I know it's not just a lens flare, and it's going behind anyway the sun and other like cloud particulate. But look at this. We've got some texture and shadow and things here. So I'm gonna show you why I'm saying that's not the lens flare also, on top of what I already said. And that is, as we look at another YouTube channel called The Final Days. It used to be called Universal News Media. I'm not sure what the woman's name on there is, but I am eternally grateful to her for doing what she does and noticing what she does and doing it all as she is so guided. Now, I'm not sending you over for her religious views. If you do, resonate with them, great. But that's not those are not my beliefs per se, and I just don't want you to think I'm sending you over for that. I'm sending you over there from my point of view, from this context, strictly to look at her direct evidence and how wonderfully she explains everything. Really does a fantastic job of what she finds and how she explains and breaks things down. And so what she does is looks at FAA cameras up in Alaska and kind of all over the U.S., and look what she's catching. So if you look down here where my cursor is, she's taking the feed, and frame by frame it's hard to find these things because these agencies wipe off any evidence of this happening in the sky. So once in a while she gets lucky and finds these things. Like over here you can just see it like vaguely ghosted out. And so she takes that and goes up here, and then she puts her contrast and filter on it just in that part where she knows it's looming around this body, and highlights it. So if you didn't have the highlight and the contrast, you might miss it. But she's got a keen eye and knows where it should be, where about more or less, and she captures it. So because of her doing this, I now have been able to pick out and find, very rarely, because it's very hard to catch in my own skies now, evidence of this thing or yet another planet. She's finding a lot of different ones. This one has like holes in it, these textures, and the reddish color. She also has another shows some that don't have that color and have like completely different patterns. So what we're dealing with is a presumed planetary system that has moved into our Earth's direct neighborhood, so to speak. And there's so much chemtrailing, so much sprayed up in the skies to completely have such thick particulate like a soup that we can't see these things with the naked eye. And I love it that she's catching them really, really well. And so anyway, I'm going to go back one just to show you, this does not look far off from this. Now, obviously, this has more holes in it, so I've either caught something similar, or maybe that's yet a different moon or planetary body. Heck, it could even be some kind of projection of one, and we're being put upon again. Who knows? But it's obviously something that doesn't normally belong right around the sun is, based on what we have been told or lied to about our whole lives. That's all I'll say. Now, just for fun, I'm going to skip ahead to another slide. This is all images from the Final Days YouTube channel. I just took this one. I took this and blew it up in scale and did a little more contrast and played around with it a little more to really see it. So anyway, that is what we are dealing with. Now, I'm going to go one more. Hang on one second. just to play upon this, take a good look at this image in the upper left. So we've got this planetary body, and also do look at my description box below on my channel just to see what that red body could be. Now, some refer to it as Wormwood Star. There are a whole host of other things this thing could be. See what you think on that, and do your own digging and investigations. I also highly recommend, as I did in a previous show, that you take a look around and look at Ashayana Dean's work. Her name was originally Anna Hayes, but now it's Ashayana Dean, and she has a collection of books, tons of books. One of them is called The Voyagers. There's part 1 and part 2. Part 2 is called The Halls of Amenti. I highly recommend that you take a look there, just to see what the history of our galactic origins could be and what all of this really is coming into our atmosphere now. And it just might help you, again, be another source of material to take a look at, see what clicks with you. If it does, great. If not, toss it out and keep going and researching to see what you think it could be. Okay. Anyway, just for fun, look at this image. So we've got this landscape, these beautiful mountains, snow-covered mountains, right? And then this shows you like where this thing is relative to all of this on our planet. Now, back in early 1970s, I invite you to look here at the lower right-hand corner. I took a picture off of a TV screen while I was playing a episode of Land of the Lost. And if you're a child that grew up in the 70s, you know what I'm talking about. And anyway, in the Land of the Lost, they end up on some other dimension of Earth. And anyway, this is a view when they kind of look off in the distance. And look what we see, all these different planets. So is it predictive programming? I think so. If this is really in our atmosphere or whatever, lower Earth orbit, whatever we want to call it, I don't know what type of sphere it is, if it's ionosphere, atmosphere, or what. But anyway, it's pretty darn close. I think we can see that's pretty darn close in our environment. But anyway, look at this. So it just reminded me of that, and I had to include it. All right. Now, here's another view looking north. We have something was happening here at A. I didn't catch this in time. I had saw something and I ran back into the house to go get, the camera. I didn't have it on me. And by the time I came out, this thing kind of disintegrated. It was a bigger form. What I found highly curious was that this trail went right through it, to kind of like, I don't know, was it some kind of weaponry on a different dimension trying to obliterate this thing? Or is it just a chemtrail to say, hey, look at me, don't look at this over here at A? I don't know. But we also have a cutout here happening at B that shows me, and this is not a normal cloud any way you slice it. The thing's just really weird looking. So I think we had craft hiding up in here, or it's still sitting in there as an imprint. Anyway, we look at it with some enhancement. You can see this cutout, this notch out better. And you can see that there was something absolutely happening here with this like golden color. Usually that just would stay white. And then we zoom in on that little element, and it really has a form to it. And it's no accident. Like, why would this line have to go right through it? So I don't know what that bigger story is going on there, but I know something's happening. See what you think. All right, now this was looking west-southwest, and it was raining, and felt really weird. This overall storm, again, felt very artificial. And what I thought was weird is that we have this bright white glare point, and yet we have at A clear reddish color. And so looking at that with enhancement, we have like a ball, a sphere that's red, and then everything else kind of has a plum and reddish hue back in there, except right here. So that was highly unusual. I don't know exactly what's going on in there, but I know it's not natural. Something really strange is happening in that scene. See what you think, though. I also look up here. The reason why I'm saying it is we have a deeper, darker purple color over here. But I actually see machine parts popping up out of here. These look very specific, hard edges, look like the ends of pipes or something. And so I know there's intelligent design happening in there. So I'm venturing to say that we absolutely do have cloak and craft happening in here. Now, is there just one body of it over here? Are there multiples? Is there one like team, so to speak, over here of cloak and craft and another team over here creating this stuff in this red color? I don't know. See what you think. All right, this is interesting too, looking toward the evening, toward the west. Now, I was driving along and I actually pulled over in the middle of the street to take a picture of this because we had what was clearly supposed to be a sun illuminating beyond all of this cloud, quote-unquote cloud stuff. But then I could see a clear, precise ball right here. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. But then I see a hard line of this illuminated object or something reflecting off of it here. So that's clearly not the sun, and I don't know that this is. So either way, something's going on. Now, this could also be some type of technological equipment, like, that could be a projector or some kind of image that we're looking at, but that is not the natural sun, that for sure. So see what you think is happening in that scene. All right, now this got really weird. So this was looking east, and even to the naked eye, when you look to the left here on the original photo, look how weird this is. It's like looking at this cloud system through rippled, like a frosted glass. It looks like you're looking at an object through the surface of a swimming pool that has the wind blowing across it with fine ripples. It's really bizarre. So I look to the right here. We're going to look to the right at the enhanced photo, and just to try to see what is going on. Now, I believe that this absolutely is a cloak and craft, and it's oscillating the energy so much that it's creating this disturbance in the sky and creating this tight rippled effect. Really bizarre. So if you squint, if you're on a bigger screen, you can see there's like a solid triangular object here, another wedge shape here, and it's all connected here. So I think this whole thing is one big craft. And then this whole shape here too, there might be something, or this is one piece and this is another part of a craft. I don't know, but I can tell you, maybe there's a triangular piece in here too. This overall thing is not natural cloud, and there's something absolutely hiding in there being cloaked. All right, now this is just a happy face balloon. This is our photo of the week and the close of the show. I have been having, unfortunately, to visit people in the hospital who are suffering under many different effects from different things, I'll just say. But anyway, I just want to remind everybody that your smile lights up rooms and lifts up entire worlds. And thank you for being here. Just your presence, if you're a loving sort, just do not underestimate the power of the smile and needing to keep free breathing and smile that smile and let everybody see it. And you have the power to heal a ton of people too, just walking through a hospital. If you smile, and then if you're carrying a balloon like this on top of it, just watch all the rooms light up as you pass by. So please don't underestimate that power. And if you're out and about and you walk into a store, just once in a while when you think of it, just put it in your mind. Hey, you know what? When I smile, just envision it, that the whole building, everyone inside it just lifts up in energy and happiness and love. And it makes a huge difference if you're not doing that already. Okay, so that's it for now. Again, I appreciate your being here. Wish you all the best and tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.